Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of the Orange Thumbstick podcast. I'm Dave, and as always, I'm joined by Russ and Bobby. How you two doing? You alright?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate.
Yeah, good. I'm good, thank you. Quite a busy month since we last did our podcast. There's quite a few bits of news that have come out, and there's a few betas that we've had the privilege of having to go on. And also we've got Game Blast that we want to talk about today. But first off, I want to talk about the standout news stories from the last sort of few weeks. One you're excited, I think, about, Russ, is Dirt 4 that was announced.
Yes, yeah, Dirt 4. So it's not a sequel to Dirt Rally, the game that came out last year. It's a sequel to the game before that. So it's not, because the game before that was Dirt Showdown, wasn't it? So Dirt 3 was before that one.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, yeah. So but what they've done is they've taken all the realistic mechanics from Dirt Rally and they're putting them into a new game and incorporating the truck style racing. So there's going to be the Dirt Academy Joyride, so that's going to be lap time challenges, smash challenges. So it's going a little bit down that original route of the Gymkhana stuff, but I don't think that is actually in there this time.
Right.
So I think anything else that stinks out there. Competitive games, so the daily, weekly and monthly long challenges. There's a next generation of RaceNet, which is Codemasters online server system for the Dirt games. Tuning as well, that's all there. Damage and repairs, wear and tear is faithfully recreated with an improved and realistic damage model as well. So opening it up a little bit more to expand to players that probably preferred the older Dirts with the Gymkhana type stuff in it. So again,
I think it's fair to say though that after the game last year, Dirt Rally, that it was a real return to form, wasn't it?
Yeah, of
and
course.
And it was really well received.
Mm-hmm. But again, you don't know what the sales figures were like compared to the previous, if that's why they've expanded a little bit more on that, and opened it up to players that aren't really too keen on that intense rally experience that the last game brought, because it was really intense.
Yeah.
It was another level kind of intense. I mean, you both know that I'm not one for racing games so much. I mean, I liked some of the Forza titles.
No, really? Are you not?
I was more of like I like drifting, and I like taking part in the playground games kind of thing that they done the playground section. But when I done the preview for Dirt Rally, that was a really hard game. I mean, after my preview, I sat and played it for a couple of days, and Russ was trying to talk us through it, and if I remember correctly, I chucked a stream up so you could watch Russ, and you were giving us tips, and I really started getting into it. Absolute fantastic game.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't fault it. Personally, not for me, because I'm not really good with racing sims, but I am looking forward to having a look at Dirt 4 and swearing a lot as I play it, because I can't, and just checking it out.
In all fairness, though, Dirt Rally was fairly difficult, even for your hardcore racing rally fans. It was a challenge, and that was the idea of the game, was to make it challenging. So don't be too hard on yourself there, mate, because it was a tough game anyway.
Yeah,
Definitely was. Yeah.
Staying on the driving format, Flat Out 4. We haven't seen a Flat Out game for a number of years now. I think 2009 was the last one. That has also been really well received, that announcement, hasn't it? I think everyone's...
Yeah, so it was only announced a couple of days ago. The biggest news for us, being from the UK, is that it's actually been sort of put in stone that it's been brought to the UK. I believe it's under a different publisher to the American side of things. So there's P-Cube and Big Ben Interactive are bringing the game to the UK, which is pretty cool. Does look good. I've seen some footage of it and some screenshots. And it's featuring things like 27 cars that are fully customizable, 20 tracks, including traditional derby racing, time trials, arenas, etc. And the legendary stunt mode, a mix of 6 new stunts and 6 reimagined classic stunts where the driver is flung through the windshield. I've seen that as well. That was quite fun. That does.
It's got its following, Flat Out. I think going by the last game, there's quite a few people out there that really they really play those games to death. So that's good news.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of news as well about Team 17 have filed something. Did I read?
Yeah, they've managed to add a new game to the games label. It's called Avon Colony, and it is a sci-fi city building and management simulator. So finally we're going to get what looks like a decent building sim on consoles. So really looking forward to seeing that, because we've been talking about it a while amongst ourselves in private about getting a decent sim style game. Obviously we've never seen SimCity, I don't think, at all on Xbox. I could be wrong there.
No, I don't think we have. No.
I
don't recall seeing one at all, but like you said, we have discussed it previously. The SimCity games, along with theme park, there hasn't been a theme park for a while as well. So I'm hoping that whatever Team 17 have got up their sleeve will entice other developers. That maybe a theme park style game to come to console, maybe. Yeah.
Well, if anything to do with that side of things, I would hope and pray that Frontier bring Planet Coaster to consoles, because I've been following that game since it was in alpha. I've never played it. I've just watched people playing it on YouTube and stuff. And that game as a coaster sim is absolutely fantastic. If you love all your building in that as well, you can do custom made buildings and make the tracks how you want. There's all sorts of other standard rides that you can put in your theme park as well. It's an absolutely class looking game. But yeah, Avon Connolly is supposed to be coming out in Q2 of this year.
Okay.
And
so not long to wait then.
Not long to wait. And apparently there's a beta available now on itch.io. So itch.io. There's a beta you can go and play on there for free if you're interested.
Okay.
I'll check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the main one that I'm really, really excited about, which got announced a couple of weeks ago, is finally the return of Micro Machines after a fairly long absent gap. What's the length, Bob? What was the last console game that was released for Micro Machines wise?
I believe it was. We're talking handheld consoles or consoles?
Home consoles. Yeah.
Home consoles was Micro Machines V3, I believe. Yeah, but I believe it was V3, and they made it like an N64 port and stuff. It was released in 1999. They call it Micro Machines 64 Turbo, so that's the last console released. Then they had Micro Machines V4, which was out on the PSP and DS, and then it went mobile. So we're waiting for the World Series now, 2017, for the Xbox One. It's going to be one hell of a comeback. I mean, the last Micro Machines styled game that I can remember playing was that one on 360 Toy Box something or other, Russ? Do you remember the name?
Toy Box Turbo, I believe.
Toy Box Turbo, yeah.
That was like the closest thing to a Micro Machines game that I've played in recent years. Other than that, it's been a long time. I was floored just as much as you, Dave, when I heard the announcement. I couldn't believe it.
I think it was sort of met with a sort of unanimous yes from the community, wasn't it, when it was announced?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's come off the back of the success of the mobile release. I know Codemasters have come out and they've sort of said, because of the success of the mobile format from last year, that's when they decided that it needs to come to consoles. So whether it will be as big and as expansive as past Micro Machines games, I don't know. But
looking at it, it's going to have 12 player online. It should keep it alive. Definitely, that's one thing. 12 players online. So to definitely give it some longevity there, because it's if it would have been left as couch co-op, then it would have been a no from me.
No, it would have flopped. It would have flopped massively.
Yeah, they need that online service, definitely, without a doubt. So fantastic news there about Micro Machines. Really looking forward to that. I believe it's coming out in April. Is that right?
Just quickly skimming.
Do I have a date?
Think from what I've got.
Released in April
21st
is what I've got.
21st of April.
21st, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so obviously Micro Machines has caused a bit of a buzz in terms of it coming back. It's been absent for a number of years on console. What gaming franchises do you guys think you'd like to see rebooted? I'm not talking remasters that we seem to have a lot of at the moment, which I think we'll do a future discussion on our debate with that. But in terms of old classic franchises that you really loved, that haven't been around for maybe 10, 15 years, the ones that you'd want to see revamped, rebooted and brought back, what are the ones that you'd like to see?
Can we put Half-Life 3 in there just to get that out there?
Oh, so unpredictable. Oh.
Half-Life 3 then, Russ. You got anything else?
Top of my head, I'll have to have a little think while you tell us what yours are.
Well, I mean, one of the games that I played when I was younger on PlayStation was called Rogue Trip Vacation 2012. It was developed by Single Track and published by GT Interactive. It was basically kind of like a spin-off from the Twisted Metal series. So I know that Twisted Metal kept going and things like that. And I think its last release was 2012 for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, and PlayStation 3. But I would love to see Rogue Trip or a game like it, which is kind of like a destruction derby car racing kill people game. It's kind of like Carmageddon, but not like the remake. Let's not talk about that. But yeah, I would like to see that come back. Rogue Trip Vacation 2012. I actually looked around on the internet a few years back, and I did find a post from 2012 saying they're going to do a remake now that it's 2012, but it never happened because unfortunately the developers went bust. And I don't at the moment. I don't know who owns the rights to the game, but I would love to see that come back. Obviously, it was originally on PlayStation, so it's not on Xbox, which is what I am through and through. But I would love to see it come to the Xbox One.
I've got a couple, to be honest. We haven't had a really good
all
driver
Rockstar
game.
games.
No, we haven't had a really had a really good driver game for ages, have we? And with the way open world games are going at the moment and everything, I'd love to see a driver return. I think that's a franchise that could come back with a real bang, and I think it would be well received.
Yeah, because it did lose its way a little bit, didn't it? And then there was the last one, Driver San Francisco, that was sort of middle of the road game. It was sort of mixed reactions.
It was a weird one,
that
was, because it was a weird one because I think the guy that you were playing, the main character, was actually dead, and you could move your spirit into somebody else.
You could just jump between cars, couldn't you?
Yeah. I didn't like that at all. But I'm just thinking, maybe with the way open world engines are now and the power of these consoles, they could easily combine, some really good driving mechanics with a really good open world game. And I'd love to see that. But there's another one, staying on the driving sort of theme. There was a 360 game that came out, and we never saw a sequel because I think the studio went bust. But I really enjoyed it, and that was Split Second. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember. I never actually got hands-on with it, but I remember the game.
I absolutely loved it, and I would love to see a Split Second versus Burnout game. So it's got all the mechanics of Burnout, but all the action sequences of Split Second.
Yeah.
Maybe sort of bring those two franchises together. That would be brilliant. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see that. What about you, Russ?
I've thought of mine now. So for me, you guys know I love my horror games. I was just racking my brain there while you two was talking, and for me, it's got to be The Suffering. There was 2 games for The Suffering. So there was the original game, just The Suffering, and then there was the sequel called The Suffering: Ties That Bind. It was first released in 2004. It was developed by Midway Games, and that was the reason why it never continued, because obviously Midway went bump after the second game was released. Yeah. But it was a psychological third-person horror game, so it was all weird stuff. It took part in like an insane asylum, and I absolutely loved that game to pieces. And I would love to see that sort of, or even a reboot for me. I know you said not talking about reboots, but I would love to see that game come back in some form. The original game was just awesome, full of weird creatures. Yeah, loved it to bits.
Staying on the survival horror stroke sort of action horror games. Mm-hmm. Do you ever remember Obscure? I think it was on the PlayStation 2.
No.
And it took place in a school. Obscure was it was basically you played, I think it was 4 characters, but it was sort of real time in the sense of if one of those characters died, they were dead in the game. There was no sort of reviving or you come back to life or whatever. How the story went was if you were controlling a certain character, if they died, they died. But how the game played was very sort of Resident Evil 2 with the camera angles and things like that. That was really good. So I'd like to see something like that come back.
All kinds of no for me, the 2 of them. all kinds of no.
Well, we've seen some successful reboots. Tomb Raider got a reboot a few years ago, and that's worked out well. Those games have come out, really good. They look great and they play great. But I'd like to see more. Micro Machines maybe coming out might make other developers think, yeah, we want to do this. We want to release our old games and stuff, and hopefully we can get some old franchises coming back, which would be good. Any more games from you, Bob? Anything else you'd like to see come back?
See, the problem is, all the games that I can think of are PlayStation games. From when I was like me early teens playing PlayStation games, like Future Cop LAPD. I believe you can get it on the PlayStation Store. I think I don't own a PlayStation now, but I think you can get it. But I would love to see something like that come to Xbox One. And yeah, I mean that's off the top of my head. That's all I can really think of right now.
I think it's fair to say though, in the 90s it was PS2, wasn't it? I think that was the main console everybody had. There was no Xbox that existed then anyway. So, you know, you're going to suggest those kind of games. I mean, I thought of Siphon Filter. I don't know if you ever played Siphon Filter, the original one.
I played Siphon Filter, yeah. I'd back that. What about Time Splitters as well? I mean, do they even have a current Time Splitters? I'll be honest, I've never looked, but I know there was one on the original Xbox. I don't know if any came to 360 or anything like that. Anybody know?
I don't know.
No, there was one game, wasn't there, done by the same developer. I think it was a PS3 exclusive. It was terrible. It was called Haze, I think. And it was awful. It was absolutely dreadful. And I think after that studio sort of went, kind of thing.
Crytek UK.
What was it? Yeah, that's it. Wasn't it the Time Splitters developers that did Psyops? Do you remember Psyops on the PlayStation 2? The telekinesis game.
I don't remember that, mate. No.
Because that's another one that I'd love to see.
The indefinitely postponed Time Splitters 4. It was announced to be in development, and then the scrapped it. So yeah, the developers must have went bump. But I can remember going around to like friends' houses and would all sit there on the PlayStation, have one of them adapters for more controllers, and would sit and hammer Time Splitters. Back in the days when you used to all have to sit in the same room. And I think that would be probably top out of everything I've said today. That would be top of my list to bring back and see what kind of multiplayer it would have to it, online and stuff. But it's one of them. It probably never happened, but if it did, I would be first in line to get a copy.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it as well. There's another one just popped into mind for me, which is actually Prey, which is actually being rebooted. I don't know if you guys ever played the original Prey. The original Prey, I absolutely love that game as well. For me, it was one of the first games I played where it had the weird gravity system where you could walk on the ceilings and stuff in certain parts of levels. I think I've told you about Bob as well, with his weird stuff. Like, you see a little box in a room, and you go through a door later on, and you actually end up in this little box, like a glass cabinet box. And the aliens that are on this, I think it's a spaceship you're on. It's been long since I played it, but you can see one of them peering down in this glass box, looking at you. It's awesome, and to see that they've been. It's not a remaster, it's an actual reboot of the series, the franchise, which is absolutely good to see, this new Prey game that's coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
You've talked about it that much in the past, and I always said I would have attempted to check it out at some point, so if they're bringing out a reboot, I'm going to have to look at it. Definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, they've made a very big point, haven't they, in saying that it's not a sequel, it's not a remaster or anything like that. It is literally a retelling of the original game, kind of thing. Yeah. Was that a launch title, the original Prey?
It might have been, mate. I can't remember off the top of my head. I remember it being one of the early 360 games, and it just blew me away when I played that.
I think if we really, really had time to think about it, we could probably reel a whole list off of games we'd like to see come back. Old franchises and things like that. And as I said, Prey's a perfect example of that. Fan feedback and communities asking for these titles. Hopefully, with the release of Micro Machines and the Dirt franchise to a point coming back, Prey coming back. Hopefully it will make other developers come forward, and I do think that things like Prey and stuff like that have, come from the Tomb Raider reboot. Doom last year, I really enjoyed Doom. It came back and it was just classic Doom, but with a modern day twist on it, and it was good. It was really, really good. So hopefully we'll see more of those coming up soon in the future.
So
recently we've had a couple of betas that we've tried out, For Honor, and more recently Ghost Recon Wildlands, which we've spent a little bit of time on. So that's going to be very early impressions. But I'll start with For Honor. What did you guys make of what we played?
It was for me different to what I was expecting it to be. It ended up being more of a hack and slash style game, a bit more fast paced than what I thought. To me, I was looking at it as might have been more tactical. I mean, there is that sense of you've got to be talking to your teammates. Oh, let's get to A, let's get to B in that Dominion game mode that we was playing. But as a whole, it is literally just a hack and slash game, isn't it? It's quite good. I really enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, it's got a unique set of controls as well. I think the use of the right stick for your blocking and the things that you have to do. I enjoyed it. I think For Honor's had a bit of how can I say? It's had a bit of backlash since it was announced, because everyone was like, oh, it doesn't look that good and everything. And the problem is, people keep going on about, we want new IPs, where are the fresh IPs, we're sick of sequels, it's the same old games. And when someone comes out with an IP, they just get slated for it. For Honor's come out, it's a new IP, it's a new way of playing this kind of game, and yet everyone's like, oh, I don't know whether I'm going to like it. And,
so it's
but we played it.
Lose-lose situation for a developer, mate, every time.
Yeah. But I'm with you, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty surprising, to be honest. I was like you, I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I did. As I said, there's a few little tweaks that need to happen before release, I think, but that's the whole idea of the betas coming out so early. And the open beta starts on the 9th of February as well, for anybody that wants to jump in and play that.
Check it out.
It's good. It's good. And then
I never really followed it. I never followed For Honor, like the release or anything, like the shout out of the release, the announcement, things like that. I never followed it, but Russ mentioned what it was to us and says, "Oh, got a beta code here, let's check it out." And it blew me away. Like it's now on my list of games this year, of games that I'm excited for, that I'm looking forward to. It wasn't on my radar initially, but it does have more of a hack and slash feel. But like you were saying, Dave, when the three of us jumped on it and had a laugh, it was absolutely fantastic. And I even sat and played by myself for a little while, and it kind of takes a lot when I'm playing a multiplayer game by myself for me to sit and play it. I like to be playing in a team, but I thought it was fantastic. I think if they have had any kind of backlash or anything like that, then the beta, the closed beta so far has been the closed mic drop, and now on the 9th, everyone else is going to get the mic drop from them, because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, and you're right. It is definitely better play with mates. I mean, we had a real laugh on it, didn't we? It was, the only way I could describe it, it was old school multiplayer fun, where it wasn't too competitive.
Yeah.
Everyone was having a laugh, and sort of like, we were trying to take over these points, and then somebody had come up and, they were trying to beat us up, or we were trying to take these areas, and it was just a laugh. It was really good. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
But more recently, we jumped on Wildlands last night briefly. And I'm going to let Russ talk about this, because Russ has been going on about this game for I don't know how long. So go on, Russ, you start us off with it, because you've really been looking forward to it.
I have been really looking forward to
Wildlands.
And to say that it's beta, I think they should release it sooner rather than later myself. I mean, there's a couple of little bugs that obviously need working out, but the game as it looks is fantastic. I like the levelling up system that it's going in it, so it's not literally levelling up from killing enemies and stuff. You've got to extract supplies from different areas to be able to level up certain aspects of your character, which is nice. It makes it a little bit longer, a more tactical way of leveling your character up. Sort of adds a little bit of that survival element to the game, with it being open world. May need a little bit more doing to it with regards to driving the storyline. We only got to play one sort of set of missions anyway in the beta, but the dialogue did seem to get a little bit lost with everything else that was going off. But obviously that's again something they may be working on top of that. But overall, it's exactly what I expected it to be. Even this afternoon, me, Bob, and another lad that we know jumped on, and we just messed about, and we were just laughing our heads off at each other, just messing about, crashing aeroplanes. Even Bobby got in an helicopter and flew above another one and just dipped down on top of it and took his rotor blades off. This enemy helicopter filled with enemies, and it just took a nosedive and blew up. It was just hilarious, mate.
So the gamer tag might be Bobby Fields, but sometimes I do some good things. Every now and again, I've got a little gem up my sleeve, and I'd done it, and I thought, I'm going to die. It's going to blow up me helicopter, but it was perfect. I'm kind of good we weren't recording at that point, Russ. That would have been a highlight reel. That would have.
Yeah, surprising as well that it's going to be
fantastic.
8 players as well, which is awesome news, because you look at things like Destiny, for example. You was limited to teams of 3. Was that correct? You were, weren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
So to have up to 8 people in your world on Wildlands, it's going to be fantastic. And then so it's got that about it. You can mess about in the open world environment and just mess about with each other, or you can go all serious when it comes to knuckling down and getting the jobs done, like you see in all these trailers that have been released about it, where people have been teaming together and coordinating an attack on extracting somebody out of a camp somewhere. It's wicked. I love it.
Yeah, again, it's that old school team-based communication multiplayer, isn't it? It's not just all gung-ho straight in kind of thing.
Because if you do that, you die, don't you, Bobby?
The thing that's...
Go stealth, Bobby. Okay. Oh, everyone's alerted. Sorry.
Yeah, go stealth, Bobby, and all we can see is explosions.
Yeah.
Like in the distance. And it's just,
It's how I
that's
play.
very easy.
It's all about running through the fire and flames and shooting bullets and killing everybody. And if you can't do that, then there's just no point in doing it,
The one thing that stood out for me, and I mentioned this, guys, to you last night when we were on it playing it, was the sheer size of the map. I couldn't believe how big it was. And you raised a good point last night, Russ. You said they've given us the sort of centre of the map
on the beta,
so we can actually physically see what's going to open up as soon as the game is released. And a lot of people out there are comparing it to the Division. They're saying, it's just
nothing
the Division,
like it,
etc. But
no,
it's not, is it? It's not.
It
plays a little bit like
to me,
it in a way.
Because I'm quite a fan of the old Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter games, the Graws. And to me, it is the same as those. Obviously more modern, but it's got an open world element to it because they were more linear. You had to follow a set path through the levels. So it's a lot more open world than them. But everything else is still there. The tactical stuff, the side of it's all there. The teammate stuff. So when you're playing on your own, you've got your 3 squad mates with you and you can tell them to go and take positions and stuff. That's all still there. So it's nothing like the Division.
Something I did notice as well on the map that we're talking about and how big it is, what me and Russ were sitting looking at today, and I zoomed right out and I noticed on the right hand side there was an extra kind of, because obviously on the map it's got all of the enemies, the bad guys that you're going to go after in that area, and when I zoomed right out outside of the map, not a part of it, there was an extra boss, and I'm assuming that's like end game boss. I would assume
it looked like it.
It's what it looked like, but I never noticed it at first, so it's even bigger than what we've seen just on like the map, because there's something outside of it as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's DLC or endgame, it's there.
I mean, going back to it being people saying it's like the Division. I mean, that's nothing against the Division, because I like the Division. I think it's a great game, but it does play a little bit like the Division. But every third-person game does anyway. You could compare it to Gears of War to a point.
Well, that's saying that the Division plays like the original Graws then, because they came first.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I'm really looking forward to Wildlands. From what I've played so far, I really like the look of it, and I know you're excited about it, Russ. So
yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Okay. Anything else coming out this month? Bobby, you mentioned Halo Wars. You excited for that?
Yeah, I'm like a kid at Christmas for Halo Wars too. I know they're putting loads of extra different game modes and stuff into it, but I'm just for the core Halo Wars 2. I used to play Halo Wars 1 with a group of friends, and we used to just smash the game to death. Would start on a morning and would still be playing till the next morning. So Halo Wars 2 is up there. Obviously, I've always kind of been a Halo fanboy. I'll admit that. And this is my release of the year for me. I'm extremely excited. I believe it's due out on the 21st of February, so it's a little bit later this month. And if you pre-order it now, you get if you get the Ultimate Edition, you get Halo Wars Definitive Edition as well, which is obviously Halo Wars 1 download to your Xbox. So everybody should check it out and get it downloaded, and I'll see you online with it.
Do you get that 4 days early access thing again with it?
Yeah, you get it. And for once, I'm my opinion on that was said it on the last podcast. I'm going in for this one. I'm getting it.
Boo.
I want them 4 days.
Boo.
I'm only doing it, right? Because, and this is why Xbox have set up the 4-day early access thing. 2 of my mates who I used to play with have got it, and I'm not going to sit there for 4 days.
Exactly what I said last episode. I said exactly the same thing. They've done it, so your mate gets it. And you're like, oh, he's got it before me. I need to get it now, and then it's just a snowball effect, isn't it?
Well, exactly. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, and I'm already getting invites to play Halo Wars off them, and it's annoying to say the least. So yeah, nice one, Xbox. You have set up a wicked con there to get people to buy it, and I'm falling for it hook, line and sinker for Halo Wars 2.
Well, you know my opinion on that anyway. Let's move on.
I'll be honest, I share the same opinion, but this one's got us hooked. It has. It's got us hooked.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, obviously, For Honor. Before I played the beta, I wasn't really fussed for it, if I'm honest. That's urged me to get it now, I think. I'm really looking forward to that. Wildlands, obviously, we've already mentioned. I'm looking forward to that as well. But the big one for me is Mass Effect, which is out in March. For anybody that doesn't already know, we're going to be taking part in Game Blast 17 in conjunction with the charity SpecialEffect. You can follow us on our Twitter pages and everything for all the details, Facebook as well. But what it is we are going to be raising money for the charity SpecialEffect. SpecialEffect are a charity that help people of all ages with various disabilities to help them enjoy their hobby, which is gaming. So all the funds raised by SpecialEffect allow them to design equipment to assist people with disabilities to play the games that they love and to have some fun with it. So we're going to be holding some events coming up pretty soon. Russ, do you want to take us through what we're going to be doing for it?
Yeah, so Game Blast takes place 24th to the 26th of February. We're going to be doing multiple streams over that weekend, starting on the Friday morning. We've got lots of stuff installed to raffle off to people that are going to come and join the streams. For donation amounts, they donate to our Just Giving page, and they can get entered into these raffles for stuff. We've got one currently started. We started one early, so you can go and check that out. You can see the link to that if you go over to the website xboxgamerreviews.com. The link's on the front page there. And it's a raffle for 10 tons entire Xbox One collection of games, so it's £60 plus worth of games. Just go and read that post there. You can follow the link. There's donation of minimum of £2 to enter that raffle, and then the winner will be picked when it ends sometime next week, I believe. So that's just the first thing we've got going for now. We've got some other things in the pipeline. We've just got to wait for those to be finalised before we announce them, but some of them are quite big. One of them is going to be a one-off thing as well, which we're hoping will be sorted sooner rather than later. So do keep your eyes and ears out for us announcing all that stuff, as Dave said earlier on a Facebook page, on Twitter, and of course on the website. It'll all be announced on there. So yeah, come and get involved, help out some fellow gamers that are less fortunate than us. Yeah,
and as I said earlier, SpecialEffect are a great charity, and this is all for a really, really good cause.
It is, yeah.
If you go onto the SpecialEffect website, you'll see the kind of things that this charity does, and just seeing people with smiles on their faces enjoying games and things like that.
Well, we've got all the links to all that on the post on the website as well. So yeah, if people go and check out that post, they find all the links to SpecialEffect, what that's about, and also what the Game Blast event is about as well. That's all on the website there for them to follow the links to.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a fantastic cause. It really, really is. They do some great work over at SpecialEffect. So, yeah, let's try and raise some money as much as we can and help them out. Okay, so the website and our social media channels, Bobby, do you want to go through those? So if anybody wants to check out what we do for Game Blast and other stuff as well, just let them know our website and Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, website is xboxgamerreviews.com. Twitter is xbox_gr. That's probably the most used social media outlet that we have, so check that out. It has every update on. Facebook as well, that gets everything, which is facebook.com/xboxgamerreviews. That's correct, isn't it, Ross?
Yeah.
Every time I say it, that's correct, isn't it, Ross? Every time I say it right. But yeah, that's what it is. And then it's just down to the YouTube, Twitch, and Beam. Russ, I'm going to let you say them because I always get the YouTube one wrong.
Yes, you want to check us out over on YouTube. It's youtube.com/c/xboxgamerreviews.com. Beam is beam.pro/Xbox Gamer Reviews. If you don't know what Beam is a new streaming service that is now owned by Microsoft. We are going to be making a switch over to that soon enough when they sort of get it all finalised and the app is going to be on the Xbox store for us to stream. So yeah, check us out on there. In the meantime, though, don't forget to go and check us out over on Twitch, which is twitch.tv Xbox_gamer_reviews.
Brilliant, fantastic. So I think that's it for this month. I think we'll all have to play Ghost Recon Wildlands, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We are, yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Why not? Okay, thanks everyone for listening. And again, keep an eye out on our social media, especially for Game Blast of what's going on there. And I hope you all have a wicked month, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.